Alright, Caitlin, you just lost to What Are the Odds? And now you have to lick this little baby cow's nose. One that he has been licking all day.
Okay.
So it's clean. Okay, hold him still, Matt.
He'll just stand there on his own.
Hi, buddy. No pressure. Hi. Look at me. I love you. I'm sorry. I violated you.
He's out of here.
Maybe Kate violated.
He's not even trying to have this right now.
He doesn't love me.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really glad you're here because we have a great morning for you. My name is Pastor Jordan. If you're here for the first time, really glad you're here. Today's going to be a little bit different than our normal Sunday because we have a special guest. Caitlin Hunter is part of our congregation, and last year she took kind of, I'd say, an epic, extreme mission trip where she visited 11 countries in 11 months. And did ministry all over the world. And she came back in December, and we just wanted to kind of catch up with her. So let's give a warm welcome to Caitlin Hunter. All right.
So that cow had been literally standing in front of our apartment for 6 hours, and we could not get it to move. And the way we got it to move was I looked at its nose. So.
And it moved.
And it moved
Awesome.
instantly.
Great. Well, we just wanted to spend a little bit of time, so I think what we'll do is just to try to encapsulate a year's worth of experience into 20 minutes. It's going to be maybe a little difficult, but we want to focus on a few things. So I thought we'd start off by looking at some just general experience kind of questions, and then we'll move into how God worked in Caitlin's life. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so I think we start with this. Why don't you list the countries that you went to, first of all, so we know kind of where you were.
Okay. Hold on, I have to get my fingers out. India, Nepal, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Albania, and then we had route changes. So I was supposed to be in Macedonia, but I ended up in Greece. And then was supposed to be in Bulgaria, ended up in Kosovo. But I went to all those countries. And then we went to Africa and was in Zimbabwe, Swaziland, and South Africa.
Wow. Okay, so out of all those countries, what would you say were your favorite countries?
So it was a three-way tie between Thailand, Kosovo, and South Africa. And I was sitting and thinking about why are these three countries my favorite? And it was never the actual country, it was the people that we'd worked with those months.
Okay.
That really made it for me.
Awesome. So what was I know, when you visit foreign countries, you definitely see things that are not normal here. What would you say was the weirdest thing you saw? And specifically, I think, because you mentioned something on a motorbike, being carried on a motorbike.
Yeah. So in the rest of the world, specifically in Asia, it's too expensive to own cars, so people own motorbikes. And it's a tie between, we once saw a man driving his motorbike and then his friend was sitting on it also, holding his IV bag, and with his IV in his arm. And we're like, that literally cannot be sanitary. Like, that cannot be healthy for you. And then I wish I had pictures of these so much. One day we had to take cabs everywhere, so we were in our cab, and I looked to my right, and there's, like, they put whole families on these motorbikes. Forget the minivan, like, so a lot of times they'll have, like, the, 3 or 4-year-olds standing before the seat, and so it was a 5-member family on this motorbike. So it was, like, 2-year-old, or, like, let's say, like, 4-year-old dad driving, behind him is, like, 3-year-old, then there's mom nursing a baby while going down the highway. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like, how, like, that's some serious skill.
That's great.
So.
Wow. All right, so you also probably saw some beautiful, like, nature stuff. And actually, you gave me some pictures, and I brought a few of them to show. But how would you describe these things that you saw? What are we looking at here?
I also just want to take photo credit. I took all of these photos.
Nice.
I like basically can work for National Geographic now. Okay, so the one in the top left, that is a great white shark.
And you took that?
Yeah. Okay, that's actually a lie. My friend Hillary took that photo. I took the other two. I'm sorry.
But were you in the cage?
I was in the cage. Yeah, I was right next to her and I had my GoPro, but she just had the better angle. So yeah, his name is Feisty. He has a name, like the boat company named him. So yeah, we had the privilege of going cage diving, and they actually hadn't seen a great white shark in 2 weeks because the orcas had come into the bay, and it's this whole big thing. The orcas like killed great white sharks, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So like, talk about just seeing sheer power up close, and like how amazing God is in His creation. I was just like, okay, like I'm in a cage, and that's literally the only thing protecting me. But they're actually really uninterested in humans, so. That's cool. They're not as scary as you would think. But just like that picture makes it look really scary. It wasn't that scary. It was really cool. And then the photo of the tree, that is in Cambodia. That's in Siem Reap. So Angkor Wat, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's this massive ancient city. And this is actually where Tomb Raider was filmed, like Lara Croft Tomb Raider. But I just was walking, and this is one of the most iconic spots, and just like seeing these massive banyan trees like overgrowing these ancient ruins is just really cool. And like it's just a reminder that like nature is so much powerful like than we are, because this massive city is nothing now, and just what's left is these trees that have completely taken over. And I was really struck by that. And then the gorge picture with the rainbow, that's in Zimbabwe, and that's Victoria Falls, which is twice the height of Niagara Falls, and just beautiful. And it was the dry season, because when it's like fully going, you can't even see like the gorge because there's so much mist. But it was just mind-blowing, like what God has created for us. So.
That's awesome. Okay, now here's a picture that I thought we'd put up, and you can tell us what this is all about.
Yeah. This is the infamous squatty potty of Asia and Europe. You can find them in Europe too. So this became a regular site for me, and I got really good at using them. So we would categorize like non-Western toilet, which is this, and then Western toilet is what we're used to. So the tracks like on either side of the hole are where you put your feet, and then like you're aiming for obviously the hole. And it's pretty simple.
Is that sink there?
No, so they're not flush toilets. So after you do your business, you have to take the water, like you would use the blue bucket, and you would dip the water and then like pour it down. So. And
you met somebody, right? You met somebody who had used one of these?
Oh yeah, I was in the Malaysian airport, and she was from England, and they had both Western and non-Western toilets. And first one that opened for her was a non-Western toilet, and she was just like, what, is this supposed to be a toilet? And I'm like, yes, it is. She's like, how much do I sit on it? And so I literally had to go in, like, show her, and she's like, I can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, just wait for, like, the Western one. I'll use this one. That's fine. And she's like, she was, like, kind of repulsed. But it's fine. It's good. Sometimes I miss them, so. That one is, like, a pretty accurate depiction of, like, kind of in shape. Like, yeah.
Nice. All right, so let's talk about food. So you have a picture of this. Why don't you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, so this is probably, the worst food month was Zimbabwe, and it was, like, really hard. I had to pray throughout all of my meals, like, constantly, and I was like, dear Lord, thank you for this food, like, bless it to my body, because I don't want to eat this. So this is a staple in Zimbabwean culture. So this is sedza and chimolia, and sedza, which is a thing that looks like mashed potatoes, very deceiving. So corn is really prevalent, and it's literally ground cornmeal, and it's boiled. Awesome. Has no nutritional value, has no flavor. It fills you up for about an hour, and then you're hungry again. And then chimolia is the green stuff. This one actually has meat in it, which I'm like, oh, that was great. So we would have just the chimolia, which is kind of like kale, but worse. So it's literally kale and just cornmeal. And we worked at a children's center that month, and our food budget was $2 a day per person. So that was our lowest food budget, and that was really hard. And yeah, you'd just be hungry, and like I would go and eat a candy bar after dinner because I was like, I need some flavor in my life. But yeah, like I guess sometimes they serve it with meat. We couldn't afford meat. We would sometimes have chicken and sedza. The worst is when you had sedza for lunch and dinner. You're like, oh, this is a bad day. We'd usually root for like pasta. Wednesdays were pasta day. That was like praise.
Awesome. Cool. And you also had a role on your team, right?
Yeah.
So you played the role of treasurer.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here?
So we had to write all of our own receipts for the IRS and then upload them to financial software. This is in Swaziland, and we had a pretty vindictive mouse that lived in our shelter, is what we lived in, who would never touch our food, but would chew on our stuff. So he chewed and carried away the left earbud of my headphones. So I was having none of it, and I used treasury money. And I was like, well, in this picture, I want to because we always have to upload the pictures of the receipts. So I'm like, I'm going to be in it with this stuff that I bought to kill this mouse. I killed him a week after that. I've never been so happy. But yeah, so I was treasurer, and they asked me at training camp to be treasurer, which was October 2016, and I had no desire. I was like, absolutely not. I had to talk with God. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna there's a lot of leaders on our team, on our squad. I'm just gonna sit this year out for leadership. I'm just gonna coast. Awesome. And then they asked me to be treasurer. I'm like, okay, God, we just had a conversation about this. And so I wasn't thrilled about it. I actually missed treasurer training at launch because there's a blizzard in New York City. And so I missed my flight to Atlanta. So I missed the bulk of treasurer training. So I'm like, I'm already unprepared. And then we get to India and there's a financial crisis and you can't get money. So it's just I don't even know what's happening. And I'm supposed to, and our software wasn't working. So I went into month 2 with this really negative attitude. I was trying to get kicked out of being treasurer. I complained to anybody who would listen, including our leadership. And I was just, one of our leadership was like, is it healthy for you to be treasurer? I'm like, no, I should probably not do it anymore, right? Come on, kick me out. And they didn't. And my team sat me down. We have this thing called feedback, where every night we check in emotionally, spiritually, and physically, how we're feeling, and then we also have feedback for each other to make us better, and iron sharpens iron. And they're it was an intervention. They were you have the worst attitude about this. You need to get your priorities straight. And I'm they don't know anything. They're the worst. they were right. And so I had like a serious conversation with God about it, and I'm just like, you put me in this position, and I don't know why, I don't want to do it. And then he just reminded me, he's like, this is a privilege. Like, I've placed you here specifically for you to do a job for me. And like, I was literally responsible for thousands of dollars a month. Like, all the money that we fundraise, like, it was my job to like use that to get us food and shelter, like the basic necessities. And I just viewed it as like, I'm like God's extension in that way to my team. And my attitude completely shifted, like once I invited God into that role. And I came out the next month and I'm like, I love treasury, like everyone should be a treasurer, like, and everyone, like we had team changes our month 4, and everyone was like, Caitlin, are you asking to like step down from treasurer? I'm like, I mean, if they like want to like let somebody else have the opportunity, I'll be okay with that, but like, I would really like to be treasurer the rest of the race, and people thought I was joking. They're like, that's a good one, but like actually you're gonna step down, right? I'm like, no, I love it. And so I ended up being treasurer all 11 months. And there's only like 3 other girls who were treasurer the whole time with me. And it just turned out to be like a really awesome lesson in that like God places us in certain situations, and it's our responsibility to like choose him in that situation and like view it as a privilege and like see where we can affect change and just represent him. And it can be in literally anything. It can be in our job, it can be in doing finances for a team, which at first you might not think has to do with him, but really does.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So you also met a bunch of people, right? And there we have a picture here of this group of people. Do you want to introduce us to who they are? And because you have it's a pretty cool story that goes along with this too.
Okay, so this was our month 5 in Thailand, and this is my team and our host for that month, which is Pastor Pirot, and his wife's name, I kid you not, is Meow. So they are just this amazing couple, and they were in church, I think, just as part of the congregation, and they had a heart for just like reaching out to the Thai people and spreading and showing people that like God loves them, that Jesus came, and just sharing the whole gospel, because Thailand is predominantly Buddhist. And their church was like, don't do that. That's literally too extreme. And they're like, this is literally what the Bible tells us. So they left and started their own church. And Pastor Pirot doesn't make a salary. He works on the side to fix air conditioning, and Meow makes purses to sell. And they literally live paycheck to paycheck from him changing air conditioning. And they never know how they're going to make their rent, but they were just like, we rely on the Lord and he will provide for us. And so their ministry along with church is they will go into schools and teach English lessons and then like talk about the gospel, which is really cool. And it's why they have teams come, because they need native English speakers. So we literally every day would go into schools, teach an English lesson, like to different grade levels, and then we'd all come back together and either do a skit or just like talk to the kids about the gospel, and then that's their way in. So once they see come, they can come like on a weekly basis and like follow up with these kids. And it's just a really cool ministry. And so the picture of the van is what we drove in. We named him Linus because he was pathetic, like the Peanuts character. He broke down almost every day. Like, we never knew if we were going to get to ministry or not. And so we just were really convicted that we needed to raise awareness about what this family needed, and we actually raised $7,000 to give them to help either put it towards a new van. It's not enough for a new van, so they can either save it, or they were thinking about using it to pay their rent, because they would pay their rent for like a year and a half, which was really cool, and that's one less thing they have to worry about. And when we told them that that's what we were doing, they both broke into tears, and they said that this is the first time anybody's told them that they were proud of them, and that they felt like what they were doing was But they were just being encouraged about what they were doing. And that broke my heart. They'd been doing it for 10 years, and nobody said that they had believed in them. And just like one opportunity on our part by like just really listening to the Holy Spirit and like viewing your role and being like, I was able to tell this family that like God loves them and God is proud of them and believes in what they're doing because they're just going and loving the kids of Thailand and showing God's love to them. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So we also this week talked about a few verses that were important to you. So here's one of them. It comes from 2 Corinthians, and it says this: God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things of this world and the despised things and things that are not to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before him. It is because of him that you are in Christ Jesus, who has become for us wisdom from God, that is our righteousness, holiness, and redemption. So what does that verse mean for you as you look at your trip?
Yeah, I think this is really the verses and the passage in the Bible that completely changed my view of what Christianity is. And I think I so relate to this verse on a level because you look and it says that God chose the foolish things, he chose the weak things, he chose the lowly things. And those are all ways that I've felt about myself. And I often think Christianity is, that's where like all the righteous people are. That's where like all the people who like have their life together are. And like that's not the case at all. And that's not what God wanted. He chose the things that literally make no sense to make them like and it says to make them like wise, to make them righteous, to make them holy, and it's for our own redemption. And I think whenever, and this is super applicable on the race, like whenever I felt run down or not affected, I would remind myself of this verse, and it's like, well, I'm a human, obviously I'm going to feel these things, but God chose me because I am those things, and through him, I become more of who I'm meant to be.
Cool. And we're talking about you're talking about like lies that you believe about yourself. What's kind of, you want to pull that out a little bit, what that means?
Yeah, I think all of us face like lies that either we've been told at some point about ourselves or that like we've just experienced. Like if you make a mistake, I think often like for me, if I make a mistake, I just like constantly then dwell on the fact like, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm such a moron, like I should have known better. And I like get caught in this vortex of just thinking that about myself. Or I think like if somebody like rejects you in some way, then you think you're not good enough. And it's like whenever I'm in those moments, or like I see myself start like dwelling on that, I'll then stop and I'll like think about this verse and be like, no, like that is not truth. Because the truth is that God has chosen me, and in him I am all those things that he lists out. Like I am wise. I like become strong in him. And just using this verse to just shut down any lies that I tell myself.
Awesome. That's cool. Another verse you're talking about was from Acts, and this is a verse we use in our road track that talks about community. So it says they devoted themselves, this is the disciples, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So how does that fit into what this experience for you?
Yeah, so the World Race at training like pounded this into our head. They're like, Acts 2:42 through 47. They're like, this is what you're going to be. Like, you are going to be the church. I'm like, that's a lot to look up to. Like, we're living up to the apostles. Like, geez, come on. And we had like squad leaders who came out and trained us on the field, and like they would constantly remind us of this. And they'd be like, in Acts 2, I'm like, oh my gosh, we get it. But I think, especially in America, and I'm guilty of this, like we view the church as just a place. It's the place we go on Sunday for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and that's it. But that's not how God designed the church. And this is really what the church should look like. And my personal definition of the church is like the body of believers or a group of people who are pursuing a relationship with the Lord, and then pursuing each other, and then going out and loving everybody around them. The body, like the church isn't a building, it's a living, breathing organism. It's you and I. And this is just a really good reminder of what we should strive to be as a church. Especially like a big thing that we focus on was like the breaking of bread, like getting on each other's level, like over a meal or over coffee, just like being with one another. And you're not going to do that just on Sunday morning when you come in and out. And this year completely turned on its head, like my idea of what the church was. Because I lived with 6 other girls 24/7. I worked with them, I slept in the same room as them, I shared the same bathroom, we ate all of our meals together. There was literally never any time. Like, I forgot what it was like to have my own space and be by myself. And we didn't like when we had to go to church on Sunday because we are the church. Like, we've constantly been living as the church. And it's just like at any moment, if I needed somebody to like console in or like confide in or just like talk about anything, whether it's spiritual or not, just like if I was having a really bad day or had a really bad moment, like I knew that there would be 6 other people that I could choose from to like live with and be with and like use them for these things. And like that's what the church is. Because ultimately our goal was like love God, be filled up by God, and then pour out into each other and into the community that we were in. And so I think like that's what we should strive to do as the church, and just like move away from putting church in that small box of just being the place you go on Sunday.
Yeah, so Sundays are part of the experience, but then throughout the week is where you're actually connecting with other believers and praying for each other and support, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, there's one more verse here. It's Jesus said in John, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I think this year has really taught me just like us accepting Christ as our Savior is just the first part. And if we leave it at that, like if we give our life, like say the prayer, give our life to Jesus, like that's only half of it. So I've come that they may have life. Okay, He saved us. He died for our sins. But if we don't do the second part and have it to the full, like we are being robbed. And it's actually like in the first part of the verse, it says that the thief comes to rob and destroy. And I think so many Christians, including myself, have stopped before the comma. Because like Jesus came to give us life abundantly and fully. And this is probably the first year where I've experienced that, because I've allowed Him to come into almost every aspect of my life. And I'm still working on those ones that I'm like, you can't touch that, that's mine, like I have full control. But when we really pursue a relationship with Him, and like give over our life, He can change it and grow us in ways we could never imagine. And I think that's something that I've really experienced this year.
Now you talk about control, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a story you told me about your planner.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because this is the thing about control, and you control it. Like, why don't you tell that story about what happened with your planner?
Okay, so I'm like super planner. Like, I like every aspect of my life to be planned out to the last detail. People actually like talk about, they're like, how'd you get to the race? I'm like, well, in my 6-year plan that I wrote for myself when I was 17, I was going to go to undergraduate, graduate, and then the year of my life to JOC. Like, what? Like, free. And I'm like, yes. And so when I was packing to leave for the world race, I packed my like agenda that I would use for like, I used it for graduate school and teaching. And like, because obviously, like, why would I not pack it? And I put it in my backpack, and God was instantly like, Caitlin, take that out. And I'm like, no, this is my life, and I'm like already giving up a lot to you for this year. So, I like went to run some errands, and I was in my car, and I was just like this voice in my head that was like, Caitlin, take the planner out of your backpack. And I literally was talking to myself in the car. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I can use it to like write down things. I can use it like write down what I did that day, like on that day. It's like, okay, first of all, your planner only goes through July. So what are you gonna do after that? Also, you're bringing a journal, so you'll write it down there. I'm like, no, but like I need a calendar. He's like, no, just take it out. Like, and then it was a reminder of like, this year isn't about you. Like, this year's about me, and you need to like let that part of your life go. Like, you need to let go of control. And so I was so angry. This happens a lot when I like come to realizations. I get like really angry at God and just like at my situation. And so I like marched up. I was packing in our guest bedroom, and I walked over to my backpack and I picked it up out of the bag and I threw it on the bed. I'm like, are you happy? And I just like walked out of the room, and like I think I like walked out of the house. I was so mad. I was like, fine, I won't take my planner. But yeah, giving up control is definitely scary. And like this year, I learned so much. Like, okay, God has got it, because when you're like on a 22-hour bus ride after like a 30-hour travel day, you're just like, God's in control, because I don't know, like this. We had a bus driver one time who was like smoking a joint like while driving. I'm like, okay, Jesus, like this one's on you, because I have no control of this situation. Like, guide our bus to its destination. But yeah, just kind of letting it like start with the small things and like seep into every other aspect. Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's obvious that God is working in your life in a lot of ways. One thing you told me was that you see God differently now than you did, and that now as you pray and are communicating with God, sometimes you try to visualize what that's like. Tell everybody about what that means, like your visualization of God.
Yeah. So they had us do this exercise at training camp where they had us all in a room, and they're like, okay, imagine yourself with Jesus. So like actually see it visually. And I'm not a visual person. I'm like, that's weird. Like, that's no thank you. But we had like 10 minutes to do it, and it was completely silent. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll participate. And so I did it, and just, they like opened this door to like spending time with God in a different way. And growing up, I was always told, okay, if you want to spend time with God, you either read your Bible or you pray. And like, that has always been hard for me, because I'm like, I feel like I'm praying to the air. And a lot of times I read my Bible and feel like I get nothing out of it. So I've always been like stuck there. And this was kind of just like the doorway to finally kind of understanding what spending time with God can look like. And so I visualized myself with Jesus at my favorite art museum. I'm like, everyone else was like, yeah, we were in the forest, or we were on the beach. I'm like, yes, I was in the National Gallery in front of the Monet. And it was like the first time where I'm like, oh, like I can invite Jesus into literally anything and everything that I'm doing. And so I didn't really start doing it like constantly visualizing myself with God, in particular, God the Father, until I was in Cambodia, and the heat triggered my migraines. So I don't think that whole month I can go longer than 48 hours without a migraine. And the only rest, like true rest I ever got, was when I would lay on my mat and just be like head to toe covered in sweat. And I would just like picture myself sitting on the lap of the Father, and I was just like, take the pain away. And in those moments, I would get the rest that I needed. And so now it's become habit for me that if I am upset, or if I'm hurting in any way, or even if like sometimes I'm bored and have nothing else to do, I'll just like sit wherever I am and just like close my eyes and be like, okay, Jesus, like what do we want to do today? Like where do we want to go? Or just like a lot of times when I pray, I visualize myself like facing like God the Father. And I think it makes it something that I've always struggled with in my walk, is that I've never felt that it's tangible. I'm always like a person who like, I want the tangible. And so when you like actually like picture like I'm sitting next to God, it becomes so much more real. And that's when I feel like I saw my relationship start to shift. Also to talk about, we had another session where they told us about ways to worship God differently. Because I think when we think of worshiping God, we think of just the worship band coming up and we sing the songs and it's over. But they told us that like God didn't design us to all be the same. So we're not all going to worship the same. And this is mind-blowing to me. And they gave us a list of ways that we can experience God. So like one is like people connect best with God like through experiences. So that's usually like the adrenaline junkies, like the bungee jumpers, or like skydiving. Like you connect with God through physical experiences. I connect with God most through like viewing art or like architecture or like so anytime, I think this is why I like history so much, like going to historical sites. Like when I had the chance to go to Athens this year, and I was like sobbing on top of the Acropolis, looking at the Parthenon. I'm like, you created this civilization so that 2,000 years from now, like this lowly American could come and just like relish in the fact that like you created people to create this. And that's how I view artwork, that's how I view music. Like God is so good, like he's such a great creator, and we're created in his image that obviously, like, we as humans are going to want to create and build and design. And like that's the way that I experience God the most, which I kind of had this realization that, oh, that's why the first time I ever spent like visually like time with Jesus, I took him to an art museum. And so some people you can do like studying. My friend went to school for biology. And she was just like, oh, when I study biology, like, I see Jesus. And I'm like, what? And she's like, just like looking at like the fine details of a cell or like how things, like the architecture of trees are perfect. And it's just like, wait, that's so true. And so there's a bunch of different ways that you can worship God or find God in the things that like you might not think about. There's this other person who like, every time she watches like movies, she's like, oh, that's the gospel. She was like, Beauty and the Beast, like, oh, that is the story of Jesus. And I'm like, okay, like, so we don't have to limit ourselves, which that's been huge and has just like opened up my relationship with the Lord.
That's a very great point, Grace.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for sharing. And we always do next steps, right? So Caitlin is actually going to lead us through our next steps. So here's some things that you can take away. Okay, so perfect, we just talked about it. Find a new way to experience God. So I wrote down exercise, art, nature, studying. Yours might not be limited to those, but I just encourage you to find a way that's not just praying, singing, or like coming to church. Like find a different avenue and where you can see God tangibly. Just push yourself and challenge yourself. Memorize John 10:10, which is the verse, yeah. Visualize yourself as Jesus or God or the Holy Spirit. It sounds really weird, maybe it doesn't, but it always sounds weird to me. But like take some time this week, maybe when you're praying, just to like kind of like allow that to happen. If it feels weird, it's okay. Pray in a new way. So this year I started like physically writing down my prayers because a lot of times when I pray, I'm just like, oh, dear Jesus, like thank you for, oh man, that sandwich I had today was really good, and I like get distracted. So when I like physically write them down, that helps. Say them out loud. Talk to. This is something I've started doing too. I started doing the Trinity, and I will pray. Like, depending on what I'm praying about, I will pray through a different part of the Trinity. So like this morning, I was praying, I was like, Holy Spirit, like, come and just, like, fill me to, like, give the right words to say. Rather than, God is sovereign, so no matter who you're praying to, it's going to be, like, that helps me to view, just, like, it furthers my prayer. Okay. And then sign up for a life group. This is huge because after constantly living in community for a year and coming home and not having community, community is going to be what pushes you. They're going to be the people who support you.
and just expand your thinking. But you can do that at the events table. And then also not up there, if you want to talk further, like, we only had 20 minutes, and obviously I had a whole year that I can talk about. So if you want to ask me more stories, more questions about anything I've talked about today, I'm unemployed, so I have a lot of free time. So please feel free to email me, call me, we can go to coffee, because I'm poor. And just feel free, use me as a tool, because God doesn't build us up as individual believers to then keep things to ourselves. Everything He does, we're supposed to pour back out. And this is my home. You guys are my home, and I want to build you up in the best way that I can. So please use me as a resource. If you want me to come to a life group, I can do that too. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thanks for being here. Can we just thank people for